Yo, yo, what's going on? I can see the volume coming through, so looks like we are live. I threw a link down in the description. Lance Brightstein hopped on the Investors Underground Sunday scan with Chris. So I threw the link for that down in the first link of the description. He's talking about how everyone's got their own style, how you can find your own style in the same kind of trade setups, looking at mean reversion and trend trades, and I think some good takeaways from that. So, that being said, I will pop up my scans and watch list, and then I can get going here. Okay, so I'm just pulling up a few names that are hitting scan here. Circle daily starting to extend itself up about 100%. Intraday looks fairly tradable. A couple of those precious metal names. Was it TGM or? Let me see here. It was T. What was it? TGB. TGB. They're starting to get going. I'd need it to extend quite a bit more before I got interested, but it's moving in the right direction. KNW, decent runner there from Friday. Pre-market runner failed all day until the afternoon and came back. Nothing I really like to short. Too trappy. What's CoreWeave been up to? Nothing really clear there. Whoa, that's insane. That's a parabolic move. Wow. Theo starting to move a bit. Little breakout. MRKR. Zone, that thing's building pretty decent. I don't like the overhead resistance in this one. It's not trading a ton of volume. This one here starting to build back a little ABCD or kind of look there. PTHL trading too thin. These quantum names are looking okay, but I don't find them super easy to trade, so I think I'm just gonna leave them be. If they were any other sector that was easier to trade, I think I'd like to get long, but I keep chopping myself up on them. I'm gonna leave them. BSGM kind of caught a real market there with the volume on Friday. Actual trend, not so much barcode action. What else do I got here? Come on. Why is it not loading? Come on. I don't know what's going on. Okay. NVTS. I'm just going to run through my list of all recent runners that are kind of still hanging around that I'd like to keep on radar. And MVTS is one of those. We're basically just using this like 490 to 690 as a range, and as long as it's in there, I have no interest in trading it, and whichever way it breaks out of that, like to join that trend. So ideally we get a break and build over 690s. I would much prefer to trade this to the long side given the NVIDIA news, but I like that it topped out right over here at prior highs. Like, it had a couple wicks through it, but overall the congestion was in that 690s. So ideally sets a higher low versus those 490s and get a re-break of that 690 breakout. LVWR, a bit choppy. It was that one I had traded on this day for the little T+1 breakout. Then it consolidated and actually broke out substantially, but on very little volume. So if you recall EYEN, I did the same thing where I bought it on this day. It was the high volume breakout. I swung it overnight and took a loss in the gap down. Then once we got the couple days of consolidation, it started to break out on no volume right here. It looks substantial just because of the squeeze into close over here, which I was not around for. But off the open, the volume was pretty minimal. Because I just saw the same setup on LVWR, I took this 230 break and was all out into 3. Was a nice little bang bang trade. I like the parabolic style daily. So now the next trade opportunity for me is the overextension mean reversion short. For EMA is down in the low 3s, so there's still lots of meat on the bone here. Did have a weak open there on Friday, looked fairly weak but collected. Possible last final hurrah, little squeeze out there into close. So I will use red to green as a guide and see if it wants to fail to fall through. BMEA, big volume move, holding up sideways near highs. Power highs basically right around $3. So no real plan on that one. Do have this little trend here. Could be a failed fall through setup, but there's just not a ton of volume, so we'll just leave that one be. Mol N, once everybody got squeezed out and gave up on the swing thesis, continues right back, regular scheduled programming. I traded it on this day for the fade off the 16 shove and 15 failed fall through. Right here, you got that move, hard crack, lower high, leaning right here, breaks lows, breaks opening ranges, and steady lows. And I was all out into 10s, 11s. I was not there for the afternoon rollover, and then continued even lower the next day off the gap down, or off the gap up, I mean. So really nice fader. Looks like on the, I believe it was the last live stream I had done, I titled it the Mullen dilution deep dive or Mullen dilution breakdown or something like that, and was basically looking for the steady sell pressure, similar to how the China names come in. You want pops versus VWAP to stay heavy. You don't want dips versus VWAP to start to soak and swipe out. So once we got that failed to fall through, all pops kind of waterfalls versus VWAP. This is proof that sellers are back in control. Dilution is back present. and that's why it continues lower. So this one is likely an idea where you could just short all pops at this point. I will look for it. We get this multi-day move, pullback, and then all pops, just possible faders. So you, as in me, I could look for pops along the way and look for lower there. Buru continues to fail off those mid 40s, 50-cent level, so no reason to be in there. But set price alerts 49, 50 cents, and then I will look to join that trend if it comes. UNH, not convinced that the opportunity on this one is completely gone. Looks like, now it could be capitulation and basing, but if this rolls over and takes out these 280s, I think a retest of those daily lows is likely. So far, it looks like it's holding, but the range is just so tight now. So if it starts to break out, I think panic could set back in. Everyone who's long it thinking the bottom is in, and if it's not, could roll over. So we'll keep that one on watch. KNW briefly touched on, no real trade plan, a bit too trappy. Shorts are underwater for the most part from day one. All the volume here in the 1 to 110 range, and so far it's holding above it. So I have no interest in shorting it, and it's already up from 50 cents to 150, a 3x 200% move, so not interested in the long there either. BNAI, this one here hit scan but had some overhead resistance, so wasn't interested in the breakout, hence why it failed and didn't continue its run. But if we were to get a multi-day move, something like this, where it goes from 20 to 60, like a 3x, so if we could go from like 50 to a little over $1 or something, then I'd look for a short trade, but just keeping it on radar. BSGM I touched on, and UAVS. This one here back during COVID times, I remember trading it back here, was a really good multi-day runner. Had some nice clean trends and breakout trades. Right through here, breakout, 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 just over and over again. Was a really friendly trader. And it just did it right here back in 2024. We got that breakout, little double top, and then once it broke out, gap up continuation, breakout, gap up continuation. So when it breaks out, it likes to get moving. And those resistance levels that I have drawn here with those horizontal lines lines up with where most of the volume was traded on that prior run, and that's plenty far enough away from this breakout spot. So it's holding up really well, and I likely join that trend through the 140s, 150s for a multi-day breakout, just given the history of this name and the familiarity with it. So we'll keep that one on watch. LTBR, this one here, also very interesting. We're at all-time highs, I believe. I don't think we've traded higher. Oh, we did. Nothing on meaningful volume, so I guess you can't say all-time highs, but multi-year highs. And what's different this time is when it pushes up and tests, fades off, pushes up and tests, fades off. Now we're pushing up and consolidating within shooting distance of those highs. We do have some top wicks, but also wicks on the bottom. So this 14-10 level is soaking. There's a buyer in there. So I will look for that 1690s break, and then the big picture 1770s. I can throw a line on there as well. But this chart looks like it's setting up in a hot sector with... I will wait until I see it back up. Should be back. Okay. I think we're back. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button there. But we're looking at electrical equipment. Let's see here. Development, commercialization, next generation nuclear fuel technology. And we've got like Oklo, we've got SMR, This one here is also consolidating nicely up near the highs. You've got NNE. So it definitely is a hot sector that in this chart just looks the best to me. Isn't the most friendly intraday. Not the most liquid, but for the size I'm trading on something like this, plenty easily to get in and out. It's trading 1.7 million, 1.8 million, 1.8, 1.6, 2.9. So a few million shares on $14, $15 stock is that's enough for me. But definitely looks like it's holding up really well, so worth keeping on watch for that breakout trade. So in terms of watches going into tomorrow, next week, I will see if NVTS can break through those 690s, LTBR through the 1690s, UAVS through the 140s, Mullen, all pops, looks like it's in liquidation territory, Iron, overextension, first red day. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, not a ton of chit chat there in the chat, so I will leave it there and wrap it up. I see we had, I don't know, 10 or 15 people on there fairly consistently, so enough people on live to watch the live stream, but that's what I got on watch for tomorrow. What about UAVS? I just mentioned it. Ya goofball? Ya goofball? 140s breakout. Maybe 4 or 5 minutes ago, I went over the daily chart looking left and talking about its multi-day runs and stuff. So just go back and check out the live stream. Just kind of fast forward through it till you find the UAVS comments. But I did go over it. Alrighty, guys, take it easy. Have a good rest of your weekend, and I will see some of you in Investors Underground tomorrow. Peace.